Hello, everyone. Good morning here, and good afternoon if it's afternoon where you are, and good evening. Wherever you're joining me from, welcome to A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love. I'm Tomas Garza, your host, and I've got a really poignant workbook lesson to share with you today. And I really appreciate all of the comments and questions from yesterday's live stream, as well as all of the other comments and questions from the live. This is one of the most beautiful things about this for me, about this whole show, is the ability to interact with you all live, wherever you're joining me from. And even if you're catching this on the replay, it's an opportunity to have questions and answers with all of the other participants and with me. And it's really quite a valuable thing to have this kind of access. So I really appreciate your joining in. And to be honest, more than anything else, what I appreciate is your commitment to your own practice. That's the most important thing. My former Buddhist teacher, Lama Michael Conklin, used to say that offerings of money are great, right? Offerings of volunteer support for an organization are great. Donations are great. Of course, they're wonderful. But the offering of your practice is the highest form of offering that you can give. It's clearly the best form. So I appreciate your interest in your own growth. That's what this is all about, is your own growth. And thank you for your practice, whatever that looks like. Whatever that looks like, but I'm honored to be a part of that. So before we go into today's ideas that I want to cover here, I just want to give a special shout out and a happy birthday shout out to Dr. Ruth Anderson, the founder of Enlightened World Network. It's her birthday today. So Ruth, happy birthday. And well, we all thank you for founding this network and creating this space where we can come together and share from our own experience. So happy birthday to you. And all right, so if you've tuned in before, feel welcome to type comments. You know the drill, so to speak. Comments, questions, I will get to them in just a few minutes after I go through the ideas for today. And if you're catching me on the replay, leave a comment anyway. Thank you for the shares, the comments, the likes, the loves, all of that here on Facebook. So we're at lesson 117 in the workbook for students. And as you know, we're going through a series of what the workbook calls review exercises, kind of like being in school, isn't it? You review material that you've previously covered. Now, unlike school, there's not going to be a final exam. I am not going to be administering a time-pressured final, and you have to go buy your blue book like at university and do it all time pressured or else. Yeah, well, happily, Jesus and the Holy Spirit don't do time pressured examinations. However, it's useful for us to review material that we've previously covered, why we see it in a different light. It leads to better understanding. And in A Course in Miracles, it leads to further integration of these foundational spiritual principles into our own lives. And that's what we're all about here. And lesson 117 goes over a couple of really wonderful ideas. And the first of those for today is lesson 103 in the workbook. God, being love, is also happiness. All right. There are a couple different parts to this, aren't there? God, being love, is also happiness. Yeah. I'm pausing to give you space and a little bit of time to let that idea sink in to your being and permeate. God, being love, is also happiness. So love, pure, true love, is another word for God. It's also another word for yourself, capital S, of course. I know you're doing this verbal math. I know you are. Yeah. It's a reassuring and a beautiful message. Now, you may have been raised, as I was, with a different image of God, and you may have spent time, as I did, trying to actively distance yourself from the concept because of all the fundamentalist garbage that you may have been subjected to. And I do say garbage completely as directed with a straight face, because any separation is utterly useless. It's harmful. In fundamentalist traditions, you may have been raised in one yourself. There's a lot of judgment going on. There's right and wrong. Either you're for us or you're against us. There's very little fostering of unity. And at the same time, there is a constant message that God is love. If you were to ask your Sunday school teachers, as I did, I was that kid, what is God? Who is God? I would have been likely to get the answer, God is love. And I did get that from time to time. To me, God was not human, and God, of course, is not a human being, neither male nor female, none of that, not a human being. What is God? Well, love. Does that resonate with you? Clearly resonated with me growing up, and this is something that I come back to now that I'm 49 years old and in front of the camera and a global audience. Yeah, God is love. And love is not what we make it to be in the world. We have a very limited definition of love, don't we? We have very constricted and culturally conscribed meanings of love. It's in between two people only, like a monogamous relationship, yeah, like a marriage or something like that, where that's what love is, or love is romantic love. We get that notion thrown at us all the time through advertising. Yeah. I mean, depending on what part of the world you live in, you may get more or less of this than someone else living across the globe, but we're bombarded with messages of romantic love and sex. And that is what some people think of as love. It's extremely limited. It's so much more than that. Love, with a capital L, is abstract. It knows no boundaries at all, no international borders. It moves through them and around them as though they don't exist. Guess what? In truth, they don't. Remember that A Course in Miracles is presenting truth with a capital T. Also, remember that no one is expecting you to believe this. If you are not able to believe it, that's okay. This is not about belief. It's about integration into your life and direct experience of love. We are literally, as the subtitle of this live stream suggests, awakening to love. It's really more of a reawakening, because we discover when we get there that love is all there is, and it's always been there. Never gone anywhere, despite all of our hate mongering. Does that sound like a harsh word to say? Separation is harmful. Separation thoughts lead to our acting out habitual tendencies, fear-based programs and patterns. If you are familiar with common parlance, 21st century parlance in spirituality, we talk about programs a lot, people running programs. Well, it's kind of like we're running an ingrained computer program, and until we reprogram ourselves, yes, this can be a good thing, then we continue to repeat the same things over and over, and we wonder why we're suffering. So until we recognize that what we're currently doing isn't working, then it's really difficult to get out of it. First, we must recognize that what we're doing isn't working, then ask for help. That could take any number of different forms. It could be your guides. Your guide could be God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, Buddha, angels, archangels, nature, a spirit animal, whatever that is, whatever that guide is for you. God being love is also happiness. Contrary to what some people say in the world, happiness is not overrated. We all want it and yearn for it deep down, even though our behaviors may make it look otherwise. We do a lot of masochistic things to ourselves. We both literally and figuratively flog ourselves with a whip, and we get in our own way all of the time. How do we do this? Well, we identify with the ego. We see ourselves as separate and threatened, therefore. So we lash out. And in the process of so doing, we deny our real identity with a capital I. God being love is also happiness. Now, happiness is your birthright. You have a right to it, not fleeting happiness, like having a party on a Friday night and waking up the next day with a hangover. Not that kind of temporary happiness. Nothing against a party on a Friday night, by the way. But what we're talking about is constant. Anything that's capable of change, according to the philosophy of A Course in Miracles, is ultimately not real. Nothing unreal exists. Nothing real can be threatened. Therein lies the peace of God. That is the summary of A Course in Miracles. A lot can be said about that. Quite a lot. Yeah. Therefore, I bring it up time and again here on this show. Because as adult learners, let's all be honest with ourselves, we really do need to hear things over and over and over and over. How many times? I don't know. I don't know. But more than once for almost all of us, yeah. So the fact that happiness is our birthright leads us into the second of today's review ideas, which is lesson 104 in the workbook. I seek but what belongs to me in truth. I love this. I seek but what belongs to me in truth. It is a power declaration. What belongs to you in truth? Happiness, joy, constant happiness and joy, where that is the only thing that exists, not alternating joy and sorrow, not feeling high, then feeling low 15 minutes later, not the yo-yo, not the hamster wheel, not samsara, the current circular round of suffering, cyclic existence, as they call it in Buddhism, round and round and round and round, hamster wheel. Totally inappropriate analogy there. Yeah, I seek but what belongs to me in truth. What is that? Your identity, capital I, self, capital S, love, who you are, awakening to the truth of who you really are. This is what belongs to you in truth. I invite you to sit with this idea. The more you do, the differently you'll feel. No question about it. This does mean that in the world, we're seeking other things. And think about where we seek happiness. On Amazon.com with the newest delivery coming in. I'm serious. retail therapy, the liquor store, right? Adult websites online. I don't know. Where do you seek happiness? The next relationship? Yeah. The newest shiny object, the newest expensive piece of clothing or bargain piece of clothing? Thrift store piece of clothing? Doesn't matter where it comes from, does it? New car, new boat, new house, new windows, a new set of insulation in your home. We seek happiness all over the place. And we seek it in the world in transitory things, believing erroneously that it's going to bring us lasting peace. That doesn't last. You find you get a new car, you drive it to the supermarket, and somebody dings your door or runs a shopping cart into your side paneling. It happens. I mean, I hope it doesn't happen to you ever, but it happens in the world. We look for happiness outside of ourselves. Then what happens? We're continually disappointed again and again and again and again. So what do? We look for happiness somewhere else. If you seek happiness in intimate relationships, if one doesn't deliver it for you and you break up with that person, you may seek it in the next person. They're not going to give it to you. None of us will give it to each other. We must deliver this ourselves. And what A Course in Miracles is doing is helping us to realize this, that we are responsible for our own salvation. We're responsible for our own awakening. Call it enlightenment, I don't know, call it ascension, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't really matter the term. And it makes absolutely no difference what your cultural background is. It makes absolutely no difference your age, your gender, what you do for a living. None of that matters at all. This is all about our making a choice right here in the present moment that we're going to seek but what belongs to us in truth. And I hope, it's my hope, that you may do that today. Start today by kicking these two ideas in your mind. Kick it around in your mind. Sit with it and let it percolate. God, being love, is also happiness. Lasting happiness. And I seek but what belongs to me in truth. In other words, if you're stumbling over the language, I seek nothing other than what belongs to me in truth. Who I am, yes. My inheritance, the truth, capital T, reality of who I am. So I hope that you may take these ideas to heart today and practice them, even if all you do is recite them in your mind. The value of that is tremendous and absolutely cannot be underestimated. Okay, so one of my favorite parts of the show has arrived, where I get to tune in and see who's joining me here today live. Now, we've had some really wonderful conversations here on the show in the last few days even, and any questions that you may have, please, please, please feel welcome to ask them here. And it looks like we've got some people on here, and as I bring it up, funny comment about Facebook pages, right? They continue to make it so that you have to scroll and scroll and scroll, but you are here. Abla, hello, how are you? Yes, very nice to see you here today. And looks like that yeah, you guys are, yeah, we're still live here today. So I don't know if some of you are having a technical difficulty, but here I am. If you have questions or comments, please feel welcome to leave them here in the comment thread, and I will be happy to address those for you Again, the ideas for today, very, very, very powerful. God being love is also happiness, and perhaps the prominent empowering idea. I seek but what belongs to me in truth. I seek nothing other than what belongs to me in truth. Everything else I can leave to the side. It's a beautiful thing, beautiful idea. And I hope that you may take that to heart today. Now, this is a daily live stream. So if you're joining me for the first time, I'll be back here tomorrow. And what I'm doing is I'm going through the workbook for students of A Course in Miracles, sharing my own experience and my own thoughts on this. And well, it's definitely not a reinterpretation. I'm presenting it as is, through the lens of my experience with it. And it is such a wonderful, wonderful self-study course. It's a beautiful thing because we're able to go at our own pace. We're all able to learn and comprehend different lessons at different times in our lives. And what's amazing about it is it's just as relevant if you've been doing it for 30 years as if you're just opening up the book or learning about this for the first time. There's something for absolutely everybody, because if we discover, we go through the workbook, well, what do you do next? You go through it again. Yeah, the journey is ongoing. And that's so we can continue to show up and continue to learn. All right. Well, thank you all for joining me here today. I will see you here again tomorrow. Everyone have a great day.